for your gold. Nice high rolls on the strength and dex, but they're worthless on such a low weapon. Very low block chance, so this ruins any value this might have had. Just too darn low. Some decent natural crit, but a socket might have salvaged this. Even then, it's incredibly low to sell. Like, you'd be looking at less than $500,000. Very low numbers. Numbers are getting a little higher, but it's got lifesteal instead of life on hit. And I don't think a dexterity class is going to want a 9 attack per second two-handed mace. So, a little conflicting there. Same goes here with the intellect being the highest roll here. And just 775 isn't even close for a two-hander. You want it minimum of 4 digits. Okay, so you got a max movement speed, you've got resist all, you've got a primary, you've got vitality, and you've got a single resist. So other than maybe magic find in place of the single resist, this is exactly what you're looking for. Unfortunately, everything except the movement speed is very low. Nothing here is in the triple digits. The resist all is in the 40s, not the 50s or the 60s or the 70s. So, but it is a perfect combination, except for that maybe the poison. You know, you could certainly, if wishes were fishes, that would be a fire or physical, even an arcane for that matter. But definitely sellable. So there's only one socket here, so it's not going to be able to rescue the low primary roll here. Just too low. Same thing, really low block chance. Too low. Same thing. Again. Ditto. Somebody, oops, don't want to do that. See how many different ways I can say crap in a row here without being repetitive. If there was 100 more DPS on this, I could get a little money out of it. Because you could get it up to like 123 crit damage plus a nice dexterity roll, but it just isn't there. There are definitely things like this on the auction house. People are trying to sell them, but I really don't think they're selling. I see the same pieces up repeatedly. Anything below 600 is just not going to attract anyone. Okay, so I think there was quite a few out of that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things out of there that a few that will absolutely sell, and then a couple to look up. The ring will be a decent amount. The boots will be moderate. I don't know about the quiver. The gloves will be moderate. And I'm not too sure, probably a low sell here on the bracers. Okay. Decent block chance here. Good amount of vitality, but there's no crit chance. There's no large primary roll to really distinguish who wants to buy this piece. and no sort of resists. The armor's nice, but it just doesn't really have an identity. While at the same time that makes it appeal to a whole bunch of people, it's not going to be a decisive factor for anyone. It appeals to everyone, but no one wants it. It'll end up on people's search fields, but it won't attract their final choice. So you get a little maximum fury, wasted slot with the gold, no sort of resists, so I don't see this working too well, and a really low life component. Got a little magic find here, but the numbers are really low otherwise. I'd be interested to know if that magic find is enough to save that. If that fire resist was a resist all, guaranteed it would sell, despite the low vitality and primary rolls. But so here you've got a decent amount of vitality when you add in the percent modifier plus the actual vitality. But even then, all you've got is a strength and a life, and nothing else to speak of. Nada. No life component. It's not going to work. Especially for a strength class. Barbarian's going to want some life. Maybe you can get by with some of that shit with an intellect class that somebody's willing to sacrifice any sort of life component on a piece of gear if it's got some great DPS stats, but for a barbarian, I'm really not seeing anyone skipping vitality or life percentage on a piece. So this is really bare bones. You're just getting crit damage and magic find, which I really doubt is going to appeal to anyone. It's got a huge health globes modifier, but that's absolutely a bonus. It's not something to rely on. This essentially just has dexterity and vitality, and that means somebody's sacrificing some sort of resists and movement speed just for that magic find, and that is definitely not going to cut it. When you're upgrading a magic find gear, you're adding it as a 5th or a 6th affix on your gear, or at the absolute worst, you're replacing a single affix with it. But the idea of having to replace at least 2 good things on a piece of gear just for the magic find, that's really hard to justify. I don't see people doing that too often. I can't imagine people doing that too often. It's not like I'm spying, but it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Granted, there are a whole lot of people that don't make sense that play video games, and they have gold like the rest of us. It's an important thing to remember, but you're much less likely to sell something like that, especially in a single posting turnover. If only it were a one-hand. Have a really nice vitality, get up to like 135 crit damage. Okay, so the block chance is a little low, but it's got a really low resist all to complement the low block. Yeah, this isn't going to work. Nope. Very nice little damage against elites modifier there, but 700 on a two-hander. It's going to scare everyone away. Huge life on hit plus lifesteal. That in addition to the reduced level requirement makes this very viable for leveling. So this is going to sell pretty well. It might take one or two postings to find a buyer, but this is huge for somebody that wants to just breeze through their last 11 levels. When you're 49, 50, 51, 900 DPS on a two-hander is still great. So we don't have that jaded perspective when we hit 60. Chilling, lifesteal, life on kill. We wanted to take a picture if this also had life on hit. Pretty crazy combination. So 20 block, 7 crit, 140 intellect. This is decent. You might be able to find a wizard tank, beginning wizard tank to buy this. You're not going to get much money, but it does have, what did it have, like 4 affixes that worked? That wasn't it. There it is. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. I consider the chance to block an affix just in terms of like what's variable on the shield. No life component on those gloves, so very low damage modifier on this source. Basically non-existent intellect. Very low magic find roll. There's just nothing to really pull this one out of the gutter. So that wasn't a very good stash. Two of these legendaries I got like within 10 minutes of each other. Then the other one was just a couple hours before. I only turned on the game for a couple minutes and got it right away in the watchtower. Alright, numbers are looking a little better, but this still isn't enough. You're gonna need some crit damage or something. Dexterity, vitality, and magic find. So again, you've got kind of a wasted cold resistance, a wasted armor, and a wasted thorns affix. Even if you could just trade in all 3 of those just for a single other affix like a resist all or a life percent modifier or a movement speed, this should definitely sell, but you've essentially only got dexterity, vitality, and magic find. That's all buyers are going to care about on a piece like this. And while the dexterity is nice and high, I think that's going to be a little too low. I'll take a look though. Alright, even if you split up your gems here and put 1 strength and 1 vitality, you're just barely in the triple digits for pants. So, and that's still only 2. No matter how you gem this, you still have only got essentially 2 affixes. You don't have any sort of resist component or life regen or anything. Too low and nothing else good about it. Same goes for that. Again. So gold plus gold find combination sells really well. Again, we'll be able to show those numbers. Really only 2 affixes on here, and 2 is not enough. Same goes for this. You've got 2.5 affixes with the dexterity and resist all. Huge intellect roll, but nothing else of import. If that was Magic Find, you might have a shot just because it's so much vitality, but there's no sockets. There's